Good afternoon, SLCA. Welcome where you belong. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we made, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we shared, the life we made, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we shared, the life we made, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we shared, the life we made, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. Yes, the love of God is here.
Thank you, Al. Welcome, everyone, to the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. I am so glad that you could be here with us today. My name is Jean Bell. I'm the associate minister here. My pronouns are she and her, and I am just excited, All right, so if you're viewing on Facebook Live or YouTube, please like and share this broadcast so we can continue to spread the good news of New Thought out into the world. If you are new, please see a welcome ambassador out in the hallway for a gift, especially for you. Our beloved Penelope, keep her in your highest thoughts. She's feeling under the weather right now, and so Al has so graciously will lead us in all the songs today. We're wishing you wellness, Penelope. We know that Spirit lives and moves and has its being in you right here and right now. So I'm going to read through our affirmation, and then I'm going to invite all of you to say it with me as one voice. All right. I am a vessel of divine intelligence and love. I trust the guidance that arises within me and allow it to illuminate my path. In every situation, I meet life with gentle strength, calm trust, and unwavering conviction. Today and always, I celebrate the divine I am within, knowing I am guided, supported, and empowered in its love. All right, let's say that together as one. I am a vessel of divine intelligence and love, and trust the guidance that arises within me and allow it to illuminate my path. In every situation, I meet life with gentle strength, calm trust, and unwavering conviction. Today and always, I celebrate the divine I am within, knowing that I am guided, supported, and empowered in its love. And so it is. All right. Reverend David is back with us today, and he's going to be giving us our talk, and he's going to pass me the announcements. So, I'm going to do the announcements too, but I have to turn around. All right, now I'm in announcement mode. All right. Hello. I am, you know who I am. I serve at the SLCA as the associate minister, and if this is your first time joining us, welcome. We are so happy that you chose to spend this time with us. Please make yourself known in the online chat or in person so a member of our welcome team can greet you. We have so many great opportunities to connect, grow, serve, and give. For more information about today's announcements and other opportunities, please scan the QR code found on your monitor. All right, me, Reverend Jean, this one. I want to invite all of you to join me today during the 5 o'clock hour and discover the basic ideas of science of mind. This will be a back and forth discussion. You're going to ask me questions of things that you may be curious about as far as science of mind and New Thought is concerned. But I do have a slight curriculum that I am willing to tweak depending on the questions that you may have. But we'll go over some of the basic things of science of mind, and this will enhance our understanding of these principles and how they work in our lives and how to bring about life more abundantly for each and every one of us. Normally, we have a second offering, and that's visioning. And visioning is really, really important, but Nana couldn't be with us today, so she'll resume that next month. Also, SLCA is a wonderful treat. On July the 27th, we have CSL's Next Generation Music Director, Jesse Powers, will join us to share songs and stories from the spiritual path. This singer-songwriter is a powerhouse filled with love. Invite your friends and prepare to give her a beautiful SLCA welcome. Now, practitioner Tony Jenkins, also keep him in your heart and your highest thoughts. He's also feeling a little under the weather, so make sure that you send him your love. But next Sunday, we know that he will be better and be with us. And he has a wonderful class called Spiritually Curious. And this particular class answers all types of questions. Things that are not necessarily new thought, but you might just necessarily be curious about. It could be on the border of new age, and we discuss it in relationship to new thought. So, Tony leads this discussion exploring topics that may be hard to talk about with your friends and family. This is one of the most popular workshops that we have, and so if you haven't had the opportunity to check it out, please do so. All right, thank you.
Hello. We have one more announcement. So how many people know who William Barber is? I'm paying attention. Poor People's Campaign. And if you don't know who he is, look him up. He's the gentleman down there in the corner. I just spent the whole week with him here in Atlanta last week at the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries conference. And this Monday, the Poor People's Campaign and Repairs of the Breach have been doing Moral Mondays at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. for the last several months. Started back in March. I was there for that one, and then they turned it into first Monday of every month. And they've been going very well. The audience has been growing. This is to bring attention and awareness to the funding bill that was passed by Congress and the dangers of it and the impact that it will have on our communities. And so this Monday, tomorrow, July 14th, they're having Moral Mondays in capitals throughout the South, including Atlanta. And so SLCA is standing in solidarity with faith leaders, activists, and impacted communities for Moral Monday Goes South, happening this Monday, July 14th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. outside the ICE Atlanta field office at 180 Ted Turner Drive Southwest, Suite 522. It's in Atlanta, and so we will be there. We'll have signs if you want to come down and join us. We're going to gather here in the morning at what time? 9:30. We're going to gather here in this parking lot and carpool over there. So if you want to join us for that, great. And it'll be streamed online and all of that. And you can see across the South, a whole bunch of different faith organizations and civil rights groups have been joining in on this. And so look online, spread the word as we continue to just raise the vibration and awareness of what's going on in our communities and the impact that it's having. Thank you very much.
Every prayer, I breathe the heart of God, I breathe the love of God through me. every prayer. I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. As I open and allow, I know right here and now, I create a world where wonders never cease. With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. As we go deep within and roll into the deep and allow Spirit to just come through you as you. This is what I know. I know that God is all there is. There's nothing else. One Spirit, one mind, one source. I call it God. It is known by many names. Choose to call it what you want to. Spirit is what I call it. God. I am lifted in this knowing that God is all there is. Like the birds fly off the branch, just leap off into the unknown. That is what I do. I just leap into the unknown, knowing that God is holding me and directing me right here, right now. I give thanks. I give thanks for this knowing because this is the truth of my being. As I roll into the deep and do my spiritual practices every day, I know that it is the truth of my being. It is who I am. It is what I am. Pure spirit in human form. Just having this experience, knowing that it is not me, but it is God working through me as me. And I say, thank you, God. Thank you. I am grateful for this place, SLCA, for it has taught me to stay within and not without. Rely on that truth that is within me. Listen to it as it guides me and speaks through me. Speaks to my heart and says, you can, my son. You can do, you can have, you can be all that you desire. Just continue to roll in the deep. God, I give thanks. I give thanks for all the practitioners, for the ministers, for Reverend David, Reverend Jean, Reverend Susan, for just bringing forth the truth of our being and teaching us and showing us that is within us. I give thanks for this day, for just being here. I'm so grateful for all that I have, all that I am, and all that I'm becoming. Because this truth is the truth of my being. I give thanks, God. I just live in gratitude. It is all around me. I just shower in it. Thank you. Thank you. I have spoken these words with authority, power, and conviction. And I know that this is the truth of your being. And everyone that is tuning in, it is your truth. Go within, be still, and know that I am God. You are God in human form. Know that. Live that. Be that. Because you are that. I've spoken these words, and I know it is the truth of everyone's being. I release them into the universe, to the universal law, knowing that it is done now and forevermore. And I simply say, agree with me, and say, and so it is. every prayer. I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. As I open and allow, I know right here and now, I create a world where wonders never cease. With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. Through me.
Beautiful. Thank you, Al. Let's give Al some love for doing prayer and music today for us. Thank you, Al. Good afternoon. I'm David Alexander. I'm the spiritual director here. My pronouns are he and his. I'm glad that you're with us today, online and in person. This is our time of giving, and I want to pause and make this a sacred and conscious effort, because if you're fairly new to us, you know, we do things kind of unconventional around here, right? 3 o'clock service is unconventional. Right? You're not used to that. And doing the giving before the message is unconventional. Sometimes we hear people say things like, you know, well, if I had known it was going to be that good, right? I would have given more. But giving is a spiritual practice, and it's a spiritual practice of intention. And that intention is about you and your connection with the divine, not about a tip for hearing a good message. This is not a restaurant, you know, you're being served spiritual food, but we don't tip, right? We intentionally support the spiritual guidance and inspiration that we want to receive in our life and the place from which that comes. And so a while back, we used to do it after the message, but we moved it when we moved some other things around, and we put it here so that it could have that kind of special focus of intentionality, so that we actually paused and thought, that it purposefully kind of jarred you, like, hey, wait, I wasn't expecting this right now. That's intentional, to get your attention so that we can pour intention into this moment, be conscious about what we're doing, be grateful about what we're doing, and do it with great love. Yes? So as we think about this community, what we learn, what we continue to learn, what we want to learn, where we want to go in our life, and what we want to support in feeding that, I invite you to make a conscious choice about how you choose to support that. Here are the different ways you can do that. You can text on your phone any amount. It's really easy to do. Your phone, if you've done it before, remembers who you are with our text to give number 404-800-9467. And I'm talking to everybody watching us online now and in the future as well. If you're receiving this message on your phone, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, wherever it is, then we know it's a blessing for you as well. And we invite you to join in that supportive community of intentional giving. You can scan the QR code. You can go to our website. If you're in the room, we've got opportunity for cash and checks and all of those methods as well. And if you're like me, you have it set up with your bank account to come out on a monthly basis. You can always pick up a pledge card from our greeters or at the door at the beginning of the service, so that you can still be mindful and intentional about this moment in the service, that I'm remembering the commitment that I've already made and it's already set up. I don't have to think about it again, but I want to intentionally put energy on this moment and remember what I am supporting here. So as you do that with your heart and with your mind and with your soul, we know that there is more than enough, that there is a universe of abundance, as we are in about halfway through now our 40 days of spiritual practice with the 40 days of abundance for those of you who are participating. So every day we've been anchoring our consciousness in an awareness of the infinite good and supply that is always ours. And so in this moment, we know that's flowing in through and as us, whether we're giving an additional gift or a one-time gift or are part of our pledging and we're simply remembering that, whatever it is, it's coming from you with intention to support not just this community, but your life, to come back to you and be a connection to the idea that you, in this moment, are remembering who you are. And you're expressing gratitude for that remembering. You're remembering your health, you're remembering your prosperity, you're remembering your good, you're remembering that you're connected, remembering that you're enough, remembering that there is enough, and allowing yourself to be a demonstration of that through this act. And so, hold that gift, whatever it is, this day, online, in the room, and wherever we are, and let's bless it together with these words. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful.
So we bring these gifts forward now. We bless the hearts and hands and the minds that they represent, the love that they represent, the gratitude that they represent. We receive them into the heart of this ministry, knowing that they are enough and more than enough, and they represent an abundant flow of our tithers and contributors locally, nationally, and all over the world that are connected to this message in this place, in this space, and allow the good in their life to flow through them so that we can be a blessing to them, to each other, and to the world. For this and more, I'm truly grateful and thankful, and so it is. All right, we're just going to jump right into it today because we're rolling in the deep, amen? That's the theme for the month. We have this lovely graphic that looks like we've been beheaded and floating in the waters, but we're rolling in the deep, yes? Yes, yes, yes. And so I had fun with this today. My tie has little sharks on it. It's the 50th anniversary. Did you catch that? It's the 50th anniversary of Jaws. So I had fun with the graphic for this service, but I don't think we can show it because I'm sure I'm breaking all kinds of copyrights and things, but I did like a Jaws poster thing and posted it online. So if you follow me on social media, you might have seen that. But I just thought, let's have fun with this, shall we? I mean, why not? Right? We only live once, right? And so today I want to talk, let's just begin as we kind of anchor into this awareness. I just invite you to take a deep breath. We breathe together. There's a lot that's been going on in the world. There's a lot that's been going on in our various communities. And we breathe in this moment to remind ourselves that we're alive, that spirit is alive within us, that you're not alone. And as that breath takes us inward beyond the surface world of noise into the depths of our being, where clarity lives, where peace breathes, where our truest self and the infinite reside, we wait to hear that voice. This is what it is to move and to roll in the deep. We're invited this month to go beneath our assumptions, to go beneath the surface noise, to go beneath the storms of the outside world about who we must be or who we're required to be, and into the depths of our spiritual power, and to commune with strength and love. So let us release that breath and roll in the deep together. There's a book by a wonderful feminist justice author, Alexis Pauline Gumbs, called Undrowned, and it's about the wisdom of mammals. It's a wonderful book, and she talks about sharks, which is part of how we got on the theme today. And there's this black-tip shark that speaks to her, that has this visual of diving, and this black-tip shark approaches her, and rather than it being something to be afraid of, it becomes her spiritual guide and teacher. And it's a beautiful kind of novel that speaks about that. One of the lines from this black-tip shark is this: May you please soon outgrow those limits that do nothing to protect you. That's one of the pieces of wisdom that the shark gives her. May you outgrow those limits. May you please soon outgrow those limits that do nothing to protect you. How many are aware that you have limits that you just kind of pick up from traveling through life and through the world, that you sometimes fiercely defend, but if you were to pause and get really in the depth of your awareness about it, discover that they do nothing to protect you. They're just kind of, right? Most of us, right? We would be raising our hands like, yeah, there's these things. And, this line struck me that, I have occasion to travel a lot. And sometimes I think being a minister is like sitting in an airport or sitting in a park or maybe in a mall, and it's just observing life and humanity go by and just all the different characters that we are. And after a while, when you are anchored in the deep, when you're anchored in the stillness of your spiritual being, you can begin to, and maybe you've done this as a spiritual practice yourself or had this experience on an occasion, where you kind of begin to see beyond the surface. You see beyond the characterization of, who this person dressed up to be this day, especially at the airport, right? Because everybody's going somewhere and everybody's important, But after a while, you can just kind of begin to see beyond that. And you see, again, especially I feel, I don't know if it's just me as a minister, but I can sometimes feel not just the baggage that they're carrying around, but the baggage that they're carrying around, right? The limitations, the thoughts, the heaviness, the grief and the worry and the troubles and all of those things, the pain and the joy, all the hiding and seeking and all of those things. And that we're just maneuvering around hoping that someone would somehow see us for who we really are. And that somehow we would get that thing that we really need. This speaking to anybody? You know what this is? Like somehow, if I just, and particularly, I think in today's world, we have this thing, what we call the hustle culture, right? If I just hustle hard enough, then I will get, that extra income or that, certification or find the person or find the thing that'll make it all work. Like, I don't know about you, but I know for me, like, I'll get this status or this place, and then all the pieces, all the things all the plates that I'm spinning, or all the stuff that I'm trying to hold, or all the ideas that I have about how wonderful life can be, will all finally come together, and it all work beautifully. Yeah? Oh. And it's exhausting, right? Most of us probably don't, here's what I've learned, just watching and observing that. Most of us probably don't need the change that we're seeking. We just need to increase the depth of our practice. Most of us probably don't need the change that we're seeking. We just need to increase the depth of our practice, which for some reason seems to be the hardest thing to do. Because it's much easier to change something. To change the job, or to change the partner, or to change the this or that, or whatever, some external thing, to just change it. Thinking that that is going to click and everything else is going to fall into place. And then over and over and over again, the spiritual wisdom of the ages tells us, from the east to the west, from the yogis to spiritual enlightened masters, from every tradition, tell us, just sit and go within. Just be still and know. Just get to that depth place. Which is why for a number of years I have used and really love this metaphor that I'm going to lean on for this series, the metaphor of the pool, of the swimming pool. My friend Lisa Harper, wonderful theologian, she calls it thin or thick theology, right? Thin theology versus thick theology. And I liken it to, which is also great, but I liken it to like the shallow end versus the deep end of the pool. I talk about it in my book. And I don't mean shallow is not flippant, right? Shallow is not dismissive. Right? If you imagine a pool, and over here it's easy to get in. Over here it's maybe one of those walk-ins where there's a stretch of it that you could literally just sit down in it and be fine. It wouldn't even come past your thigh. And kids can play in it. Maybe it's got little structures or things, or I see sometimes at the parks they've got the ones with umbrellas are spraying down, or the water goes up to like a bucket and the bucket fills up and then tips over, and or whatever it is. But it's easy and it's playful and it's fun and the water's warm. And then as you go this way, then it gets a little deeper and a little deeper, and at some point somewhere like at the pool in our community there's a rope, right? Don't go past the rope. You used to always tell William, now he can go past the rope, but I used to tell, don't go past the rope. Now he can go past the rope, and we can go over to the deep end, and it gets 4 feet, 5 feet, 7, 8, 9, right? And here's the thing about that metaphor, right? As we navigate from one side to the other, there's two things that are really important to remember. When you move from the shallow end to the deep end, the context changes, but the content doesn't. Y'all didn't get it. The context changes. The context of what you're doing and what's important to remember and how to stay safe at this end is different. Somebody say it's different. It's different at this end than it is at this end. But the water, the content in the pool is the same. It might be warmer on one side because on a hot day, the sun can warm that body up a little bit quicker. Or if you've gone to a beach or something and you find a body of water that's been, pooled up in either rocks or in sand, it might be warm on a hot day versus the colder water of the ocean coming in. The same can be true in a pool. And as you move to the deep end, you feel colder currents, right? The context has changed, but the content has remained the same. And so I've used this metaphor over and over and over again to describe my own journey in my study and application of theology, of spiritual thinking, of spiritual philosophy. And when I wrote my book, I was talking about the intersection of social justice and liberation theology, and people said, well, you're going too far out there. You're going away from this familiar place that we know. So over here at this end, it's affirmations and meditation and get your mind right and don't worry about the rest. And don't focus on conditions. And you're over there flailing around in the conditions. Well, the condition's kind of important when your feet can't touch the bottom. Y'all quiet on me today. The conditions are kind of important when your feet can't touch the bottom. That's not something you have to worry about over here. But it is a condition that is relevant when you pass the rope. Talk to me, somebody. Yes? The context changes, but the content stays the same. So I would tell people over and over again, so, well, I'm not doing anything different except in a different context, but the content of what I'm doing is the same. It's applying the science of mind, applying new thought thinking, applying affirmations, applying the radical implication, as I call it in my book, the radical implication of oneness, right? What does that mean? It's easy to think about what it means when it's over here just me, myself, and I. It gets a little bit more complicated when I think about all of the people in the world and the people that don't vote like me or look like me or pray like me or do what I want to do the way I want them to do it. Oneness gets a little bit more complicated. But let's talk about it. Let's think about it. I might have to have some different skills. I might have to know how to tread water. I might have to have some tools. Right? Anybody with me? And so what is the content in our space here? If this is the swimming pool, what is the content? The content here is our spiritual teaching, the science of mind. Religious science philosophy is taught by Ernest Holmes because we're part of the Centers for Spiritual Living, which is the organization under a different name that he started in 1927. And on page 4 of the Science of Mind text, he says, religious science is the correlation of the laws of science, the opinions of philosophy, and the revelation of religion applied to human need and the aspirations of man. Or we today would rewrite that and say the aspirations of humanity, right? I don't know why he couldn't say human needs in one part of the sentence and not say humanity at the other part, but I'll talk to him later about that when I see him. It's on the list of a number of things he and I got to talk about, but when the day comes. But religious science, which is what we teach, or we might call it just new thought or spirituality or whatever, but he called it religious science. That was the particular angle of his approach to this general thing called New Thought spirituality that was burgeoning in America in the early 20th century. The correlation of the laws of science, the humanities and psychology, this is before Sigmund Freud and all of that, the opinions of philosophy, the laws of science about cause and effect and what we see externally has something metaphysically behind it, a mental map behind everything that's seen physically has a blueprint behind it mentally, right? And that our feelings and emotions and our thoughts become things and all of these sort of scientific, the laws that govern that, right? And the opinions of philosophy, again, this is before Freud and all of that, but the idea of philosophy and the revelation of religion, all of the saints and the mystics and the sages of all the traditions that have basically said the same thing, right? About love and about justice and about humanity. So that's the content. Particular to our situation, the laws of science, the opinions of philosophy, and the revelations of religion mixed together, called the science of mind. The context, he gives it to you, everything in this sentence. The context is applied to human needs and the aspirations of humanity. The human needs and aspirations of humanity is different at this end of the pool. Talk to me, somebody. And than it is at this end of the pool, right? Now, there's some things that are the same. We all want belonging, and we all want to be loved, and we all want safety. There's some universal things across, but there are some things that change when the conditions change. And so some people get upset when we go to the deep end of the pool, or when I go to the deep end of the pool. Let me keep it personal here today. Because it requires them leaving their comfort zone. And when people think they're inviting them to leave their comfort zone, that you're changing everything. So no, we're not leaving the teaching. We're just going deeper into it. And this allows us, this metaphor, this idea allows us to apply a deeper metaphysics to complicated circumstances. And sometimes to bring those circumstances back to the shallow end of the pool to deal with them in the light and the warmth and the way that we can at that end. So again, it's not about one end is not elementary versus this end is more complicated, but sometimes what we need to do is grab hold of something and put it on us and swim backwards and pedal and get it to safety and bring it back over here and say, now stand it up so I can look at it properly and say, how am I going to do with this? So over here I can think. Over here I can rest. Over here I can maybe dry off a little bit and approach it a little bit differently than I can over there. Let me see if you're picking up what I'm talking about. Mr. Rogers in 1969. How many people alive in 1969? All right. So you know what it was like. By 1969, Vietnam War, we had lost King, we had lost Kennedy, John and Bobby. We had lost Malcolm X. You remember? It was a tense time. Civil Rights Act had passed, but swimming pools were still segregated in most cities. A complicated issue that we're still talking about today, not swimming pools, but race relations in America. Because we don't like to tell the truth and we don't want to tell the truth and it makes us uncomfortable. We get out of our comfort zone and all those other things. Complicated issue. Mr. Rogers grabbed hold of that issue from the deep end of the pool. Let me tell you what it looks like when you can take something and bring it over to the shallow end. And he said, come on over here. Look, we're going to come right on over here to the shallow end of the pool. And I want you to get me a baby pool. He said, we'll put on my TV show, put the cameras on, we'll get a baby pool. I'm going to sit here, I'm going to take off my shoes. I'm going to put my feet in the water, and we're sitting right next to him. It's a black man. And you put your feet in the water, and we'll sit here and cool off on a hot summer day with our feet in the baby pool, in the shallow end. And then you hand me a towel, and we'll dry off our feet together, and we'll talk about life. We'll make it real simple. Apply the basic metaphysics of humanity and kindness to what was seen at that time as a complicated issue. You see how powerful it can be to take something from the deep end and move it to the shallow end. Let's look at it the other way. Sometimes we need to take something and stay in the deep end, and because sometimes I hear people say, well, all I can do is, the basic stuff. All I can do is basic metaphysics. All I can do is, you want to talk about justice issues and what William Barber's doing and all these complicated things, and I didn't come to church to talk about that. I don't want to address those things. I just want to focus on prosperity and my wholeness and affirmations and just do my prayer work. And I want you to know that there's nothing wrong with that. I want you to know that actually requires an incredible amount of depth. I don't know about you, but sometimes, based on what's happening in the news, it requires a great deal of depth for me to just do some affirmative prayer some days. Because I'm looking at the news going, I ain't got an affirmative thing to say about this situation. Not a dang thing positive going to come out of my mouth today about that. So I got to go to the deep end of the pool and remember in the depth and the stillness that God is all that there is, and that my words have power, and that the labels that I use have power, and that the vibration and the frequency that comes from me has power. And I move to a place of deep oneness and deep humility and deep connection. Yes? And sometimes, what I want you to get in all of this is the both and of it all. That there's no one way to do it, right? I was at the pool, can you tell? Yesterday with William, and there were other people there. When we got there weren't a whole lot of people, and by the time we left, there was a whole lot of people. And people came for different lengths of time, different ages, different size groups, different intentions for what they were doing. There were some people there the entire time that we were there. I didn't see them touch the water once. It was not their intention to go to the pool and get wet. Okay, right? There's no one right way to do it. When you have this metaphor right in your mind, you'll understand that the context changes, the content stays the same, and you get to approach it any way you want to approach it. And that can change on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a moment-by-moment basis, based on what will work for the situation. Now, sometimes we understand that what we're dealing with in terms of how thoughts become things in the universe, how consciousness gets created, and how what we're up against is the negative thinking or what I call the toxic thinking of past generations. I'm talking about things, the thoughts of supremacy and power over dynamics and racism and sexism and phobias and all of those things, and how those things have been operating in our society and putting things in motion, and we're dealing with the effects of over and over and over again. And sometimes what we see is not that any of those things are new. How many people know that what we're dealing with today, none of that's new? None of it's new. Oh, all this, some of it's getting exposed. We're seeing some of it real dramatically, like, in ways that we haven't seen in a long time, because we've had all this polite veneer aspect of it going on. And that veneer is getting ripped off. And we're seeing it for what it really is. But it's not new, right? We know that? But sometimes it mutates and changes and adapts. And that's why we've seen it show up differently over time. Some of us maybe get a flu shot every year. Why do you get a flu shot every year? Because the flu changes. It mutates. And the shot that you had last time is going to work this time. Because the thing that you're trying to vaccinate against, its behavior has changed. And it's not, the vaccine isn't going to be as effective. You picking up what I'm saying? Sometimes we're dealing with things in the collective consciousness that keep mutating and changing. And our same old approach isn't going to be as effective because it's built up antibodies to that. How many people know this thing called, can I say it? Am I all right? Will you come back next week? That's ministers every fear, right? Go say something. All right. You come back, right? How many people know that this thing called whiteness and Christian nationalism has mutated so much that the vaccine called the Christian love ethic, it can't even hear it anymore? It can't hear it. It's so toxic and twisted and corroded and corrupt and all of these things that the vaccine of, well, let's just be Christian about it and just love them to death. We're just gonna build a concentration camp in the middle of a swamp. And we're just gonna threaten to revoke citizenship from U.S. citizens just because we don't like what they said about us. Where is the basic dignity and humanity? You see, that it's mutated so much that you say, well, you can't even approach that with logic because it just doesn't make any sense. It's gotten so twisted. And so that's what I say to people who say, well, all I can do is just pray and affirm and just, know the truth, and that's my practice. And okay, good. That's a good practice. The content is the same. But I need you to know that we might need to take a multi-discipline approach to this ugly thing. Is that all right for me to say it like that? We might need to take a multi-disciplined approach. Don't stop praying. Don't stop affirming. But we might need to, like you go to the doctor and they're like, yeah, this isn't working. This pill was supposed to work, but it ain't. We might need to get some other antibodies, and we might need to do some other things, and we might need to approach it from this way and that way. And oh, by the way, depending on whatever it is, like you might need to do some things too, right? You might need to look at your diet or your walking or your this or your, right? Like the doctor's going, I might need some help here from your end. I got only so many tools I can throw at it, but I might need you to participate a little bit as well. We're going to have a multidiscipline approach in order to keep this thing under control or get rid of it. Right? All of that was just about the pool. I didn't even get to my notes for the first week about the pool. All right. You with me? Take a breath. This is what I mean when I talk about rolling in the deep. Okay? That the content is the same. It's our teaching. The context changes depending on what we're talking about. It's different if we're just talking about, David, my individual life and my relationship and my da-da-da-da-da versus what we're seeing on the news or what's happening out there or what's in politics. Our approach, content is the same. Context is different. And we're going to find different ways to get at it. And so, one of the ways through this book that we were asked to look at this week, Undrowned, from Pauline, talks about this shark again. I told you we're going to get back to the sharks. 50th anniversary of Jaws, right? And this idea of the spiritual teacher of sharks. The author, Alexis Pauline Gumbs, has this conversation, this dialogue between herself and this this black-tip reef shark, young black-tip reef shark. Small, sand-colored, agile, right, has the black tips on it. And they're in conversation with each other. And rather than it becoming an object of fear, it becomes her spiritual teacher and challenges these different myths. And these myths that in the book, the way she creatively writes is the myth shows up about the myths that we have about sharks, but they're really about myths that we have about ourselves, right? And they're things like this, that we're dangerous if we show up fully. Tell me if you've heard these before. I'm dangerous if I show up fully. We're safest when we're all alone. That our survival must come at the expense of others, right? So not just myths about sharks, there's myths about us, and there are myths that are old scripts that are connected to patriarchy and empire and white supremacy and capitalism and internalized oppression. Scripts that teach us to fear our own beauty, our own edges, our own wildness. That teach us to confuse shrinking with safety. That teach us that hiding is wisdom. And so the shark asks us to outgrow those limits that do nothing to protect you. Please, the shark begs, outgrow those limits that do nothing to protect you. And so how do we do that? And I'll share these with you and then we'll close because I took way too long on the pool thing, but I hope it was worth it for you. Number one, reclaim the misnamed. Reclaim the misnamed. Sharks get a bad rep. You'll be able to learn a lot about them this week because of the anniversary of Jaws and Discovery Channel. It's Shark Week. And and I'm sure on TNT or something else like that, you could probably watch, Sharknado or something crazy like that. And what we'll get through all of that is all this misnamed and misunderstood things, right? Many of us have been also misnamed. Too loud, too much, too emotional, too queer, too straight, too black, too bold, too white. Well, I've been called that before. Too ambitious, not lately, but too ambitious, too different, too woke. Too young, too old. We internalize the labels and the mischaracterizations and the projections, and we shrink. We swallow our truth. We apologize for existing. But hear me today. Your power is not the problem. The misnaming of it is. Your power is not the problem. The misnaming of it is. In this thing called you, do you need prayer? Are you trying to tell me I'm done? You just go straight to prayer and get off the stage. In this thing called you, Ernest Holmes says, you exist so that divine feeling, fire and imagination and creativity might be expressed through you. The Spirit comes to you with a new and fresh creativity. You need not ask what others have done or how they have done it. Be yourself and express life as you find it. Never imitate. You can tell the places where he was inspired by the works of Ralph Waldo Emerson, right? Imitation is folly, is death. You exist so that divine feeling on fire, imagination, and creativity might be expressed through you. And so what if our edges were holy? What if our sharpness was not a sin but was sacred? The second thing we learn from sharks and from our own subconscious, because that's what they represent, right? In the deep of the ocean, the subconscious of the mind, is that we were never meant to go alone. Gums in the book points out that sharks are not loners, and that black-tip reef sharks especially are highly social, that they hunt in groups, that they find safety in numbers, and that they rely on each other. Often we've been taught the opposite. New Thought has fed this notion over the years, sometimes of toxic individualism, to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, to not rely on anyone else, to, if you want it done right, do it yourself, right? That's not spirituality. That's capitalism. That's white Western individualism masquerading as virtue. All spiritual teachers will tell you, even the ones you got to climb to a mountain because they're sitting there all by themselves, will tell you, go back down the mountain and be in the village with the people, right? Because it's about community. We're not meant to do it alone. We're meant to do it in community. We're meant to be reminders to each other. Ernest Holmes says there is but one life. That life is your life now. Beneath this ocean of experience, we find that calm, and that calm lives in community. I don't know about you, but I always feel better leaving here. Because calm lives in community. I get to come here and go, okay, not everybody's freaking out. Right? We're going to get through this, right? I see other people are concerned, right? We sat at a meal and talked about some of the things we've been seeing happening in the world, but we're going to get through this. We're going to remember who we are. Because in community, we find kinship. We stop performing to protect ourselves. We let ourselves be seen. And we find options for whatever it is that we're struggling with. Third and last one, sharpness as sacred. Great wisdom from the sharks. Sharpness as sacred. The theology of radical self-love. Sonia Renee Taylor in her book, The Body is Not an Apology. Great book if you are not aware of it. She says, you came here to this planet. You came here to this planet as unapologetic radical love. The world may have told you otherwise. The world may have asked you to apologize for your body, for your story, for your voice, or for your truth. But Spirit never did. Spirit whispered, even when you were young, you are mine. all of you, not just the parts that you like. As my friend and mentor, Bishop Flunder, Bishop Yvette Flunder, presiding bishop over the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries, which I'm a part of, had our conference here last week in Atlanta, and she often talks about self-love, and she says this, she says, get yourself a three-way mirror, a good wraparound three-way mirror, one that you can stand in like they have when you get the dress or the suit, and get yourself one of those, and coming out of the shower, naked as a jaybird, stand there and make sure you can see all of yourself. And love all of you, and don't leave until you can love everything that you see. Everything, because God made you wonderfully as you are. Radical self-love. To stop apologizing for any aspect of our being, our behavior, our bodies, that we're not the right kind of this or the right kind of that or the right kind of anything. To stop and breathe and to say, this is who I am. This is who I am. And who I am is enough. Yes? All right, take a deep breath. Let's pause for a moment before I bring the practitioners up for just a moment of spiritual inquiry into ourselves. Place your hand on your heart or on your belly and breathe deeply. As the practitioners make their way forward, we'll pray in just a moment. Practitioners are available to you for prayer after the service and available online. And just breathe and connect with the body temple. As we hear this message today, allowing it to resonate within your being, within the cells of your body. And just ask yourself, before we move into prayer, we say, what limits have I accepted that do nothing to protect me? What limits have I accepted that do nothing to protect me? What truth in me has been called too much, but is actually sacred? What truth in me has been called too much by others, but is actually sacred? And finally, who or what helps me breathe when I forget who I am? Who or what helps me breathe when I forget who I am? And so we allow these awarenesses of these questions to just do what they need to do in our consciousness in this moment and this week as we move into the art in the form of affirmative prayer, known in our tradition as spiritual mind treatment. It is simply the acknowledgement that there is a power and a presence of a God, an infinite intelligence, a love ethic that is moving through the universe. It is the one source, substance, and supply of all things seen and unseen. It is all that there is. It's in you, it's in me, it's in everything. There is nothing beyond this one thing. It is, as Paul Tillich called it, the ground of all being, that which everything else emerged from. It is the invisible essence behind all things seen and unseen. And into that one awareness, that infinite consciousness that is forever seeking to know itself in you and me and all life and all creation and all of expression, especially those places that are open and available to it. We might say, if we want to know the nature of God, look at nature, because it's constantly open and available to that infinite energy. It grows, it thrives, it expresses, it expands, it nurtures and cares for, it supports and sustains. And so too, that same energy wants to flow through you. That energy that grows and nurtures and cares and supports and sustains and feeds and expresses. And so that one life, that one power, that one presence is moving in through and as me now. It's moving in through and as you and everybody within the sound of my voice. And through this awareness, we are becoming open vessels through which that power and that presence resides. and the desires of our hearts are laid open before the infinite. That the highest and best good for our expression, our unique expression, each one of us as our unique beings, whether it is the fullness of our health or wealth and prosperity or divine right action in job or career or life or in any circumstance or condition, all of it is being made available now. It's being activated in the atmosphere. All that's required is to surrender to it, to turn our senses over to it so that we become receptors for the vibration and the frequency of the universe that wants to flow in, through, and as, fill in the blank, as my dynamic harmonizing good, known as my life, known as my career, known as my relationships, known as my finances, known as my physical health, known as my expression, known as my decisions that need to be made, known as my questions or doubts that I have, known as whatever it is that I'm contemplating or navigating or holding or considering. All of it. There's no place where this divine energy cannot flow and fulfill itself. There's no question unworthy. There's no doubt or fear too big. There's no thought or idea too scary that cannot be wrapped in the love of this divine energy, transformed and transmuted so that we are moved and guided into our greatest and yet to be. Give yourselves over to just feeling that for just a moment. Place your hand on your heart or on your belly again. And just feel it. Let your body affirm it. Say yes to this sacred vibration. Yes to this sacred embodiment. Yes to this divine idea flowing in, through, and as me. Yes, I say yes now. I'm rolling in the deep, deep awareness that God is all that I am. And I give myself over to it so that I am more buoyant in the spirit. I am more capable of navigating life's storms. I am more available to the wisdom and guidance within. More creative, more abundant, more joyful than ever before. Yes. I see it, I feel it, I sense it, and I give thanks for it. I know that it is good and very good in this moment, and all that's needed now is for me to surrender to it and allow it to be, because it already is. Not because I said it so, but because it said that I was so. Before I was even here. This is its idea, and I am here to make it manifest, to make it express itself, to make it unfold as the divine right action of my life. So it is true for me, for each individual here, for the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta, for every divine center and idea in the mind of God that is available to the creativity and wisdom of spirit, known by whatever name, temple, mosque, facility, avenue through which the divine is pouring. I give thanks for each and every one of them. I know each one is in a place of abundance and joy and creativity, a place of community and connection that are being filled up with the right people in the right place in the right time. And so it is for us. So it is for you, for me, for all of life and all creation. As I release and allow it to be, thank you, God. And so it is, and so we let it be. Ashe, amen. Peace and blessings. Thank you, thank you.
Please join me in singing our closing song. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as the expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We see a world that works for everyone. We see a world that works for everyone. Everyone, everyone. Please join us for fellowship in the fellowship hall and know that you belong.